there's not supposed to be a light on.
Kirk, put the battery in backwards.
That better? All right, good one. Finishing up the study of Judges today. We'll be looking at chapter 19 is what we'll be reading through, and we'll talk a little bit about the remaining 2 chapters of the book. What a story to end the quarter on. Interesting story to look at. Let's start now with Judges chapter 19. We'll go ahead and read through the entire chapter. The book only goes through part of it, so I'm going to go ahead and read through the rest of the chapter. Now it came about in those days when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite staying in the remote part of the hill country of Ephraim, who took a concubine for himself from Bethlehem in Judah. But his concubine played the harlot against him, and she went away from him to her father's house in Bethlehem in Judah, and was there for a period of 4 months. Then her husband arose and went after her to speak tenderly to her, in order to bring her back, taking with him his servant and a pair of donkeys. So she brought him into her father's house, and when the girl's father saw him, he was glad to meet him. His father-in-law, the girl's father, detained him, and he remained with him 3 days. So they ate and drank and lodged there. Now on the 4th day they got up early in the morning and prepared to go, and the girl's father said to his son-in-law, "Sustain yourself with a piece of bread, and afterwards you may go." So both of them sat down and ate and drank together, and the girl's father said to the man, "Please be willing to spend the night, and let your part be married." The man arose to go, but his father-in-law urged him, so that he spent the night there again. On the 5th day he arose to go early in the morning, and the girl's father said, "Please sustain yourself and wait until afternoon." So both of them ate. When the man arose to go along with his concubine and servant, his father-in-law, the girl's father, said to him, "Behold, now the day is drawn to a close. Please spend the night. Lo, the day is coming to an end. Spend the night here, that your part may be merry. Then tomorrow you may arise early for your journey, so that you may go home." But the man was not willing to spend the night, so he arose and departed, and came to a place opposite of Jebus, that is Jerusalem. And there were with him a pair of saddle donkeys, and his concubine was also with him. When they were near Jebus, the day was almost gone, and the servant said to his master, "Please come and let us turn aside into this city of the Jebusites and spend the night." However, his master said to him, "We will not turn aside to the city of foreigners, who are not of the sons of Israel, but we will go on as far as Gibeah." He said to his servant, "Come and let us approach one of these places, and we will spend the night in Gibeah or Ramah." So they passed along and went their way, and the sun set on them near Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin. They turned aside there in order to enter and lodge in Gibeah. When they entered, they sat down in the open square of the city, for no one took them into his house to spend the night. And behold, an old man was coming out of the field from his work at evening. The man was from the hill country of Ephraim, and he was staying in Gibeah. But the men of the place were Benjamites. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the traveler in the open square of the city. And the old man said, "Where are you going, and where did you come from?" He said to him, "We are passing from Bethlehem in Judah to the remote part of the hill country of Ephraim, for I am from there. And I went to Bethlehem in Judah, but I am going now to my house, and no man will take me into his house. Yet there is both straw and fodder for our donkeys, and also bread and wine for me, your maidservant, and the young man who is with your servants. There is no lacking of anything." The old man said, "Peace be to you. Only let me take care of all your needs. However, do not spend the night in the open square." So he took him into his house and gave the donkeys fodder, and they washed their feet and ate and drank. While they were celebrating, behold, the men of the city, certain worthless fellows, surrounded the house, pounding the door. And they spoke to the owner of the house, the old man, saying, Bring out the man who came into your house, that we may have relations with him. Then the man, the owner of the house, went out to them and said to them, No, my fellows, please do not act so wickedly. Since this man has come into my house, do not commit this act of folly. Here is my virgin daughter and his concubine. Please let me bring them out to you, that you may ravish them and do whatever you wish. But do not commit such an act of folly against this man. But the men would not listen to him, so the man seized his concubine and brought her out to them. And they raped her and abused her all night until morning, and then let her go at the approach of dawn. As the day began to dawn, the woman came and fell at the doorway of the man's house where her master was, until full daylight. When her master arose and opened the doors of the house and went out to go on his way, then behold, his concubine was laying in the doorway of the house, with her hands on the threshold. He said to her, Get up and let us go. But there was no answer. Then he placed her on the donkey, and the man arose and went to his home. When he entered his house, he took a knife and laid hold of his concubine and cut her into 12 pieces, limb by limb, and sent her throughout the territory of Israel. All who saw it said, Nothing like this has ever happened or been seen from the day when the sons of Israel came up from the land of Egypt to this day. Consider it, take counsel, and speak up. So the story starts out in chapter 19, what we see 3 or 4 times throughout the book of Judges, and it says, there was no king in Israel at this time. So it's pointing out what's going on in Israel, and there is no king, and there is no leader. The story also ends in chapter 21 with that phrase, there was no king in Israel, but everyone did as they see fit. The end of Judges, which is chronologically before all the events of the first 16 chapters, is written document to give us examples of how disobedient and how wicked Israel had become without a leader. So this particular story is about a Levite and his concubine. So he's got a concubine, it wasn't his wife, it wasn't a prostitute. So what's the difference between the wife, the prostitute, and the concubine? So the concubine is good.
I was just going to ask what maybe some other folks, I got the New American Standard, and chapter 20, verse 4 says, So the Levite, the husband of the woman who was murdered. So he's referred to the concubine as a husband.
That's her husband, but she's a concubine, right?
Say again?
He is her husband. That's the title for him to her.
Yes.
Or her master. We also saw that in one of the verses that we just read.
Yeah, but husband is a little bit different than master.
Right. Exactly right. So the concubine was similar to a wife, probably not as official as a wife. As they pointed out, they don't have all the same rights. So all the children of the concubine don't have the same rights that the normal children of a wife would have. They don't get the inheritance and all those other things like that. Concubine was typically a concubine, not a wife, because they were of a lower socioeconomic status than the person that they were married to. Either that or the person was already married, and so they took a concubine on to be this unofficial wife. So again, the children didn't receive any inheritance, which meant basically she got no child support, right? That's what you'd see in that day. So the concubine was basically a legal mistress. It was a legal form of a mistress. What I don't understand and still can't explain to you is why so many men in the Old Testament had concubines. There are many men that had wives and also had concubines. Abraham, Jacob, Caleb, Saul, and Solomon are just a few to name that we see had concubines. So I don't know, I don't understand that. That's part of the Old Testament that I don't have an answer for. If anybody else wants to comment, you're welcome to. One thing I think that we can be clear about is what God defines as his plan for marriage, both in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. So in Genesis chapter 2, he sets it out as the beginning of mankind. Chapter 2, verse 24 tells us that a man leaves his father and mother. to be united with his wife, and the two become as one flesh. Just as Adam, his flesh had been removed, Eve became part of Adam's flesh. That is why the man and wife are one, and so there's one and one in that relationship. We see again Jesus in Matthew chapter 19, verses 4 through 6, when defining marriage, talks about he, meaning Jesus, answered, "Have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female, and said, therefore a man shall leave his mother and father, and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh." And there's no reference in the Old Testament about the two bringing in another one, and the three became one flesh. There's always a man and his wife are joined together and become one flesh. We see even more specific instruction in the New Testament. When we look at leaders of the church in 1 Timothy talking about elders and overseers, it says an overseer must be a husband of but one wife. So God's plan, I think, is very clear, always has been, always will be, for marriage to be between one man and one woman. That a man should have no more than one wife, no more than one sexual relationship. So I can't explain concubine and how that works. What we do know is that we never see a result of that relationship in the Old Testament being blessed by God or approved of by God. We don't really see them talk about it very much, but we know that it happens. So in this story, the Levite takes this concubine at the very beginning of the chapter, and she ends up cheating on him. So the concubine goes home to daddy, probably scared of her master or her husband, considering that her status as a concubine made her more like his property than his wife. So we can... And she had played the harlot on him. So we can assume that he was pretty angry, and we can assume that based on when he came to the father's house, what did it say that he came to do? Speak kindly to her to get her back, which kind of insinuates that when she left, she probably wasn't speaking very kindly to her. He probably was pretty upset, is what caused her to leave. But it points out that he spoke kindly to her, that means he probably wasn't so kind before. So the Levite, to me, this story looks like that the Levite and the concubine actually did love each other. They actually did have a good relationship. She did cheat on him. She made a mistake. But first of all, go back to marriage, as a concubine, the Levite really didn't have any responsibility to go back and get her. Also, even if she were his wife, his official wife, Moses had given the Israelites before this time permission to divorce given certain circumstances. So there was no reason for this Levite to go back and get his concubine. He was under he wasn't bound under any law or anything like that to go back and bring this woman back to him. We don't read that he had any other concubines. We don't read that he had any other wives. So to me, that kind of lends to thinking that they had a relationship that was, other than her cheating on him, was almost like a husband and wife relationship. I talked about Moses permitting the Israelites to divorce. However, Jesus tells us in the New Testament that the only permissible reason for divorce is infidelity of the spouse. I do want to take a sidebar here and point out, Jesus goes on to explain that in Matthew chapter 19. In verse 8, he said to them, when he's being questioned about divorce, about presenting your wife a certificate of divorce, he says, because of the hardness of your heart, Moses allowed you to divorce your wives. But from the beginning, it was not so. So infidelity is a sin against your spouse. And what Jesus is saying here is infidelity in and of itself is not a reason to leave your spouse. He's saying it is permissible because there are situations where the spouse isn't going to get over it, and it's not going to be a good marriage going forward after that. But infidelity is that sin against your spouse. How often do we sin against God and God takes us back? If you look at the story of the Israelites, as the Israelites go throughout their time, hundreds of years, they're basically doing infidelity to God, turning against him to other gods, and time again he accepts them back. So that's something I wanted to point out that I thought was interesting here. Levi shows us, in going back and trying to regain this relationship with the woman that he had before. He's not going out. He could easily go out, find a new concubine, find a new wife, but he doesn't do that. So the bottom line, I think the example we see here is that marriage, even to a concubine, I think that's what this Levi considered this to be. To him, it was a marriage. It's blessed by God, and it's between one man and one woman. If you look at Adam, going all the way back to Adam, how many helpers did God make for Adam? Just one. You look at Noah, when God destroyed the world because it was so wicked, and he took people on the ark. How many women went with each man on the ark? Just one. So every time we see God doing something with man and woman, it's one man and one woman. So God places importance on marriage. Okay, so back to the Levite. He arrives at the concubine's father's house, and then what's the father's response? What was the father's response when the Levite shows up? What does it say? He's welcome and he's happy to see him. Why is he glad to see this Levite come back for his daughter?
One less mouth to feed if he takes her with him.
So that's one way to look at it. Right? One less mouth to feed. A lot of commentaries saw that same way. We're left to fill in the blanks as to why. My thought is that the Levite probably treated his daughter well. So his daughter had been home for 4 months. Probably enjoyed spending time with his daughter. Didn't want his daughter to leave. So he was happy to see the Levite. He wanted her to be happy. Perhaps in those 4 months, she had confided in him how sorry she was for what she had done, how she wishes that he would come back. We don't know the reason, but whatever the reason, good or bad, the father-in-law is glad to see the Levite. That's true. But that part leads me to believe that they considered it a marriage. It was a concubine because of her socioeconomic status, probably. Not a wife because of that, but I think they both viewed it as such. Just not presumption. So for the father-in-law, I'd be glad to see this Levite. This man that has taken his daughter, because taking a concubine wasn't necessarily like taking somebody in marriage. It was basically stealing this daughter, whoever you came across, to serve her as your servant and your wife. So for the father-in-law, for her father to be happy to see him, leads me to believe that this Levite was probably a pretty upstanding fellow. Probably a pretty good guy. So the father-in-law tries to get him to stay, which is a pretty common customary practice back in that day. They had an extended stay when they went to visit with somebody. So finally, the Levite leaves late in the day. We've heard that the story goes on and on. Father-in-law trying to persuade him. He stays another night and gets up in the morning. So finally ends up leaving. They only make it about 5 miles or so before the day started to wind down because they left so late. And the servant of the Levite suggests, why don't we go ahead and stop here so we have time to find a place to go stay, we can sit down and eat, whatever. But the Levite won't do it. Why not? It's not an Israelite city. We could assume a couple things. Maybe he felt more safe in an Israelite city, perhaps. Perhaps if he was this upstanding Israelite Levite man, he just wanted to be around God's people. He didn't want to be around the people of the area that had caused the Israelites to sin over and over again. So for whatever reason, the Levite says, no, we're going to continue on. We're going to get to Gibeah. We're going to get to Ramah, somewhere where there are Israelite people, and that's where we're going to stop. So they do. They continue on. They end up stopping in Gibeah, in the town square. And at this point in the story, it kind of brings up a memory of something earlier in Genesis that is much of a parallel to this story, a very similar event to this story. What story is that? Lot, Sodom and Gomorrah. So in Sodom, the 2 angels were going down to check on the cities and see how the people were, and see if there were any righteous men there. So they were going down into the city, likely to go to the town square, but Lot was there at the city gates, and so he cut them off, He took them back to his house. He basically tried to hide them from the rest of the city. He didn't want the angels to see the wickedness going on in the city, and he didn't want the men of the city to see these two angels who to them appeared like men, because he knew what they did to visitors that came into the town. So it's very similar to the story of the Levite. The Levite sits down in the town square, and nobody shows hospitality to him by taking him in. So as we saw with the example when the old man finally does, he tells him he has provisions, he has what he needs for his donkeys, he has the food for him and his concubine, his servant. He doesn't need anything, he just needs a roof over their head for the night. So likely he had told others that had passed by that's all he needed. And still there was nobody that showed him hospitality. I think that's another thing that's pretty telling of the moral state of the Benjamites at this time. It reflects poorly on them. We know previously in Leviticus, God had commanded such hospitality from the Israelites among the people of God when they were traveling through different areas. So finally, we do see this older man comes in working from the fields. I think it's interesting to hear that he's an older man, but he's working in the fields late at night, so he's still working. Comes in, he strikes up a conversation, finds out that this man, this visitor, is from the same place that he is. He lives in the hill country of Ephraim, which is where the older gentleman is from as well. So the older gentleman shows hospitality as the scriptures have commanded you to, and he brings them all into his house. But he also insists not only to give them a roof over their head, he insists that he feeds them, that he takes care of the donkey, that he provides all of their needs, so that they hang on to what they got just in case later down the road they need it. But by this time, they've been sitting out in the square, we don't know how long, but obviously a little while, long enough that many people didn't take them in, right? So many people in the city already knew that there were visitors. The wicked men, the evil men of the community were probably kind of spying out, watching where they went. And so they knew and followed them and knew where they went to sleep. So just as in Sodom, they came not politely knocking at the door, banging on the door louder and louder until they just couldn't be ignored. So finally, so it was late. They were banging on the door. It was late. Likely, these wicked men were probably intoxicated, probably belligerent at this point, you had to imagine based on what we see. But it's kind of surprisingly, the men aren't coming for the woman visitor, but they want the man visitor. Not only do they want to commit rape and eventually murder, but they want to do it as a homosexual act. Which the interesting part to me of this whole story, I can't figure out, is if they wanted to do this, if they go to the house and they wanted a man, why did the owner of the house offer up a concubine and his own virgin daughter instead of a servant that was there with it? That part I can't understand. Maybe you know, anybody has any idea. That, as I read through it, I just kept going back to that. Why would he not give the servant, who's already a lower status, really is nobody in this situation? I mean,
I think you can read a little bit of cultural connotations in this, that he would have felt shamed very much so by this happening at his house to someone that was enjoying his hospitality. Apparently, he even read into it as being homosexual in nature, as being more shameful than what it was on.
Good point. We also know that it wasn't uncommon, right? So if we look at the story of Lot, granted the visitors were angels, and so it's probably a little more protective of them because of that, but Lot also offered up his daughters to the men that were banging on the door as well. So we know that wasn't uncalled or wasn't uncommon.
So do we know if these were homosexuals, or is that just an assumption? I mean,
We know that they wanted to commit homosexual acts, is what we know. That's what they came to do. They banged on the door. It was men banging on the door asking for the man visitor to come and talk to the woman.
It says, bring out the man who came into your house that we may have relations with him. So there's a pretty strong implication of their intent.
Which was evidently common in that time. It was pretty common more on that city and visitors that came through. So looking at the owner of the house, the older man, it gives up, it's interesting, he ends up offering his daughter and a concubine, but who does he end up giving up? Just the concubine, not his daughter. So some commentaries that I read kind of suggest that the Levite was as guilty as anybody for sending his concubine out, but that's not what the scripture says. It was the owner of the house that had to make the decision, do I send them both out, or can I just send somebody that's not my own daughter out? That's what he chose to do. He chose to send the concubine out. The concubine's a lower status, like we talked about. So in his eyes, his concubine was the right one of the two to send out, and it also protected his daughter.
But it also sends another message, the fact that he sent one. And that's, I think there's a lesson there that we need to learn. We're not here to pacify wrongdoing. And we don't need to do that. We need to stand up against wrongdoing and not give in an inch. Because he did. And I mean, you read the story, we see the result. And then it didn't just stop there. I mean, there were secondary, tertiary effects of pacifying or giving in to wrongdoing. And man, here's my soapbox, but I mean, we need to stand up for that, for doing right and not doing wrong at all. Don't give in.
So do you think the Levite put up a fight? To that point?
He should have fought to the death.
So, we don't know, it doesn't tell us, right?
Well, he's still alive, though.
He's still alive. So what we understand from the story before is apparently he somehow cares for this woman. We can assume that maybe he put up somewhat of a fight, but we don't know how much. Perhaps he didn't think that she was going to get killed. Perhaps he thought there were some 4-month-old feelings started coming up, and he thought maybe she deserves this for what she did to me. Let her go do that, and then come back, and we'll be straight, we'll be good, and then we'll go on our way. Right. So maybe that's the thought that there's happened. He's still a man, he's still human. It's been 4 months, so he kind of got past those feelings, but at this point, maybe that some of those feelings will come back. Who knows? We don't know what's going on. So we see he sends her out, and we read that they end up taking her, they end up raping her, doing whatever they did to her, and they bring her back before morning. She's alive when they bring her back, but not for long. By the time she makes it to the doorstep, basically falls down at the doorway, and when the master gets up, the Levite gets up to leave, he walks out and sees her throughout the door. So it makes me think he probably wasn't up looking for her all night, because it sounds like she was on the doorstep for a little bit longer than 2 or 3 minutes. So he then went back to the house and slept, and had a good night's sleep, and hoped that she'd be there in the morning. I don't know. But anyway, so he sees her and calls out to her, get up, let's go. She doesn't. We find out that she's passed away. So he loads her up on his donkey, takes her home. This is the part that we don't understand. Things are very different in the culture back then than they are now. Remember, this is back in the time where they would serve up heads of whoever they were taking over, so that people knew that that's what they'd done. We don't do that anymore. Even in our other part of our world, you don't see that too much. So he goes on, he cuts off her limbs, limb by limb, cuts it up into 12 pieces, sent out to the tribes of Israel to show the sin that had happened, the wickedness that's in this tribe of the Ishmaelites. And what the next 2 chapters go into is the result of that, what happens to all the rest of the Israelites kind of come together. At this point, again, they don't have a leader, but they somehow come together in this instance against this, what they consider to be very wicked sin. Which I think is really interesting that they come together over something like this, but when it comes to idolatry and turning away from God, they all just kind of seem to follow along in that path instead of standing up for what's right. But anyway, so that's what they do. They come together. They decide that they're going to go punish the Benjamites for this, and they take up arms. They're going to go against them in battle. They actually do reach out to the Lord. So we see in this case, not like we did last week. Last week we saw nothing about anybody reaching out to God. We didn't see God telling anybody anything sort of like that. We had one Levite who said that God said something, but there's no indication that he even got that from God. But in this case, we see in chapters 20 and 21, God does speak to the Israelites, to the other tribes. They seek God to ask them, should they all go against the Benjamites at once? Should one tribe go? And God sends in one tribe at a time. And this is the time where the Israelites weren't good people. They weren't worshiping God like they should be. They came together again just over this one evil, wicked sin, but they still were all in sin. They still were all worshiping other gods. So what we see in chapter 20 and 21 is not instant takeover of Benjamites. We see Israelites of the other 12 tribes. We see thousands of them killed before they eventually come in and take over the Benjamites.
They were only going to attack the city until the rest of the Benjamites decided they were going to come defend the people of that city.
That's right.
Just about wiped out the Benjamites as a tribe.
Yep. Left 600 men, I believe. So there were 600 men left after Israel and after basically the civil war within Israel, which is a result of not just the Benjamite sin, but also the rest of the Israelite sin of idolatry that they've been doing for the last years. So there's 600 of them left. We end up seeing that 400 of them go and get a wife from a nearby city. And then that wasn't enough, so then I think there's another tribe in Israel that doesn't show up. Is that right?
And that was, it's whatever the city doesn't show up, that they can have the women from there because they would destroy that city, and so they pull off them, and so all the women were, but there were only 400 of them, and so they needed another 200, and so there was a dance going on at Shiloh about that.
Yeah.
And they said, we're just going to turn our eyes and let you sneak in there and grab the women there, do the dance, and haul them off, and then we will tell the people of Shiloh, you get killed with them, so you're not hurt. Just turn your eyes away for just a few minutes, and let them snatch a few hundred women.
Yeah, a couple hundred women to keep the tribe of the Benjamites alive. That's what their goal was. Why they need 200 more, I don't know. They had 400. We saw 2 people populate the earth, and we saw 8 people repopulate the earth, so 400 couples, I think, were plenty.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to understand, the wives and all that, like in Deuteronomy 17, which talking about God, that she was a king, and he had special things that he expected out of it. The king was not to multiply in horses, he was not to multiply in wives, and not to multiply in gold or silver or riches. It said like every one of them did, and when they did, didn't they? And it seemed they prospered, but then in other scriptures, it plainly says not to multiply. The only thing that can't multiply is one. Like one time, another one is 2. It smell like that would be, that's what it said. It said, it's just hard for me to understand.
Yeah, great. So going back, it ends in chapter 21 after all that, after they get their 600 wives, for all the 600 remaining men in the Benjamite tribe. Where evidently the rest of Israel feels sorry for them. They want to make sure that the 12 tribes of Israel remain. So we see them seeking God at the beginning of the battle, and then we see them having turned away from God at the end of it when they go allow the Benjamites to commit this act to go steal these women from this city, which really is no better than what the Benjamites had done before. So why the Israelites were okay with that, I have no idea. But anyway, so it ends. Chapter 21, verse 25, the very last verse. In those days, Israel had no king, everyone did as they see fit, as they saw fit. So the book of Judges shows us not only it shows us what God's people were like without a king, it shows us what they were like without a leader, without somebody to lead them, for them to look up to. They fell into sin over and over again, not just idolatry, but we see a couple other instances there. The last few chapters give us the examples of some of the kinds of sin that they got into: idolatry, sexual sin, similar to Sodom and Gomorrah, we read about in Genesis. So they didn't have a leader. It's obvious they needed a leader, but God didn't immediately provide that leader for them. My opinion is God wanted them to understand He was the leader. He was the one that they needed to be following. He knew that if He gave them a leader, they were more likely to place the leader above God. And so God didn't give them a leader for a while. Yahweh was the one who was supposed to set direction, but they just couldn't do that. So eventually God saw that it just wasn't going to happen. The Israelites were not going to follow Him without this earthly leader example for them to do so. So He ends up starting out by raising up leaders who deliver them from the hands of their enemies, and then they don't become kings, but they become judges. They judge the Israelite community for a few decades each. And most of the time we see that God didn't raise up a new judge immediately after the previous judge. Again, I think that's because He wanted the Israelites to follow after Him and not after a judge, and not think that they require a judge or a leader to follow Him. But when one judge died, we saw there wasn't a successor Israelite. The Israelites didn't take too many years before they started falling back into their sin of idolatry. I think we're the same way today. Humans are still as carnal, and we're still as wicked as the Israelites are by nature. So people crave, even today, leadership and direction. They crave somebody to look up to. They want somebody to follow as an example. I think that's why it's so important for us as Christians to step up and choose to be a leader. If you look back in the time of Judges, God still was the same God back then that He is today. He didn't force any of those judges to come step up and be a leader. All of those judges made the choice on their own that they were going to step up and they were going to be leaders in their community. Not a king, but a leader. They still were leaders. And God went along with that and He used them. I think that's something that we need to do in our lives. We need to step up and be leaders in our homes. We need to step up and be leaders in our families, in our communities, in our workplace. Because if we don't do it, we're not the ones stepping up and being a leader. Somebody's going to fill that gap. And just as we see throughout the time of the Israelites, whoever's leading, if they're not following the ways of God, it leads down a path of destruction. So that's on us as Christians. We don't need to just be leaders in church. We need to be leaders in our community. We need to be out there over a group of kids or over this other community event or whatever's going on, so that things are being led from a Christian perspective. That's how we get God back in our country, is we need to step up as Christians and be leaders in every aspect of our lives. That way our children, our grandchildren are being taught, not by non-Christians, but good Christian men and women that are stepping up to be leaders in our community. Any other thoughts before we close today? Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father God, we thank You so much for the congregation that You brought together here, Lord. We thank You for Your church across the world. We thank You for the fellowship that we have with one another. We thank You for the opportunity to come together and study from Your word, Lord, to learn from the examples of Your people from the beginning of time all the way to now, God. We pray that You will go with us throughout this next hour of worship, but clear our hearts and clear our minds, Lord. Help us to focus on You as we come before You in worship. Thank You so much for Your Son, Jesus. I ask that You go with us throughout the remainder of the day. In Christ's name.